welcome everybody, and we are live on YouTube. So everyone's been waiting all over the globe for this moment here. And of course, I have no idea what you said, so I don't know quite how to fill you in. We created a Latin American Water Prize, the Mayors Make Movies and Let's Talk About Water project that I created many years ago now, in honor of the Latin American Water Forum and the creation of the Latin American Water Council. And where's the connection? The connection is that I met Felipe Sampaio at the OECD in Paris. I showed a film. He loved the idea of a film, and we started thinking of working together. And I know Miguel for many years, and we've actually done a Let's Talk About Water event using film and water to create a bridge between water science and water policy. And so the idea is, how do we communicate better all the beautiful information that we have together, both in policy and in science? And I have to say, I'm a picture and film researcher for 50 years. You can tell by my gray hair. And I've worked in the documentary world for 50 years, specializing in water and science. And from New York and Washington, and I worked on an exhibition about climate change. So I did the photo research for the book and for the exhibition. And this was in 1992. Remember that year? That's a long time ago. And I realized it's very confusing, it's inaccessible, and it's happening. And I decided to change my focus of my work to be specifically about climate change. And I realized that water was the best entry point. So I created Let's Talk About Water as a way to work with hydrologists specifically. The National Science Foundation had created a special subgroup of hydrologists in 2005. So I started working with them and doing shows at universities across the United States and then in Holland, so that when scientists have a movie, like we saw Belize, the beautiful movie about Belize, you have a film, you can open up people's minds and hearts and communicate in a different way. And I would have the scientists be on the stage and they would start expressing hydraulic information, and I'd say, no, simplify your language, reach the audience, convince students to study hydrology. This is something that we have to work on. What I realized after 20 years of working with water scientists, there is no reward within the scientific community to communicate. They need to publish, they need to be accurate, and they talk to each other, and they promote their own careers. I'm not criticizing them. I love them. They're all my friends for all these years. So I thought, all right, I'm going to just go right to the policy people, because they'll want information about the science of water. Because the thing that pissed me off when I worked on the climate change project was I realized scientists are measuring constantly. That's why when you asked about groundwater in Dominican Republic, we have tools to measure things. So why aren't the scientists telling us 10, 20 years ago what incrementally is starting to happen? And now what's happening is the jet stream is depressed. It's depressed because we've been treating the planet like terrible, terrible. So then I worked with the OECD in Paris. You know, I go to meetings, I meet people, I talk to people, and then I realized the policy people, I'm on the Water Governance Initiative. We sit around tables like this and we talk forever and we all try to share information. But the reality is the policy people, IMF, OECD, World Bank, they all write the beautiful reports. The reports pile up on the table, and then we're stuck again in the silo of the policy world. Well, I have to tell you something. I know Miguel a long time. I've heard of IHP LAC a long time. I have spent a lot of time in Latin America over the years. I have loved it very deeply, and I've traveled a lot by bus and been around this continent. And I realized I have never really understood what IHP LAC does until I came to this conference. And I have to tell you, you are an amazing group of people. You are the bridge. In reality, I started almost crying the other day because I realized in this very room are the scientists who have the hydrologic information, the metrics, the respect for the data, the understanding about how to try to transfer the data, as well as ministers and water managers who need the data. And what's very interesting is that I created the Latin American Prize for Water and Science, inspired by Miguel and Felipe with the Latin American Water Forum, because they used that forum with the organizations representing basins and watersheds and groundwater, things that cross boundaries. And so I used a map that is on the poster, not of boundaries, but of watersheds, of rivers. It's a GIS, and even though it's easy to just look at it as a poster that's meaningless, it had great meaning to me as a way of expressing that Latin America and the Caribbean has actually leapt forward from a lot of other continents in terms of using hydrologic information, expressing hydrologic information, and working across borders with the Guarani Aquifer as like a very premier project expressing this coordination amongst different countries. I would like to say that in creating the Latin American Water Prize for Water and Science, short films about water and science, Sharon's point is very profound, and it's very exciting that you were able to address it in such a serious way, because in opening up a competition, being American, I speak English, I don't speak Spanish or Portuguese very badly, but we needed to address constantly the issue of language, from the people who were submitting films to getting them subtitled to having them understood. And we have such a wonderful team that helped make the Latin American Prize for short films about water and science a reality, and I want to thank them by name. I want to thank Antonio Augusto because he speaks Spanish, Portuguese, and English, and lives in Montevideo and worked directly with Miguel and Alberto, so they had meetings. I want to thank the people who are the team Breno, who is based in Paraty, beautiful Paraty in Brazil, who's done the Instagram and the graphics of our program. I want to thank Chrissy, who works out of New York with me, who understood how to make things move forward so we could actually get this competition on a platform that's called Film Freeway, so you have an open public forum for people to submit the films. And I want to thank Alberto, who lives in Sao Paulo and who's the videographer who helped with all the details of making what you are now going to see very beautiful. I love talking. My mother was an entertainer, and so I could spend all night talking. I worked up a program where I actually stopped the films in the middle, but because we're all dying for that beer, I think what we'll do is just run the films one after the other. Is that okay, Ricky? If we do that, we just run the films, or should we do a few and a few? Ricky, I also want to thank Miguel. I actually want to give a hand for Miguel and Soledad. Let's give them a hand. And of course, Francesca and the tech crew here and the translator, they make this all seem so easy and smooth, and we're getting so much work. You are all getting so much work done. Each film is very short. The first 10 films are short. There's a winner, there's a runner-up, there are 5 finalists, and then there are 5 honorable mentions. They're each 3 to 4 minutes, so it's a relatively easy, but it's about 20 minutes. I can break them into pieces and say a few words in between. Let me have your hands on this. Or I can just run them so they run one after the other so we get out of here sooner. Run them all together, raise your hand. Yeah, right? And then I'll talk to you after in the beer, okay? And oh, the prizes. He's so funny. So the prizes, actually, I want you to take a note of the wonderful support that we have in the bottom. My programs, the 2, and then the Johnson Family Foundation is actually my family, and they have donated the money for the prize and to help make this possible. It's not cheap to do a festival like this. And so we are giving, the first prize is $5,000, and the second prize is $2,000, and then the last 5 are $1,000 each. And we hope to do another, as a matter of fact. And so the other ones are the African Film Festival, who's my partner in New York City, a 30-year existing African Film Festival that's just amazing. And then UNESCO, who are they? I don't think I know them. And then the Water Museums, that's my new partner, I'll tell you about them in a minute, and the Latin American Forum, and then Saragas and Water is Leverage, which is a Dutch entity. I want to mention about water museums. One of the gentlemen here talked about a water museum today, and it's a very easy thing to just let yourself pass over it and write to your, do your emails and not pay attention. But the reality is that IHE and IHP have all gotten together to create a global network of water museums, and after 5 years, they now have 100 members. I'm going to Saudi Arabia to start working on my next iteration of this, I can't even stand thinking about it, I'm so overwhelmed, prize, because the gentleman I met in Porto at this global network meeting of the museums, he was so excited by what we've done here that he wanted to do one for arid zones, ancient hydrologic technologies, and to look at desertification and deserts. And as you have mentioned, so many different subjects are intertwined in a basin. You talk about the Amazon basin, but you don't think of it as mountains. You talk about deserts, but you don't think of rivers being on the edges. So you will now see films that are from specific countries. The first winner is Brazil. The second winner is Brazil. The third honorable mention is Argentina. Okay, the next one is Brazil. But you are going to, and Ecuador and Honduras and Mexico, it's a wonderful constellation. I would say that I feel remorse that there were not more Caribbean applications, but I see where the problems are. It's really inherent in how you all work together. It's a problem, and I want to address it in what would wonderfully be another round of a Latin American Water Prize. So hopefully we'll continue. And at the end of the short film sequences, which I hope you enjoy, the thing is that even though they are from a specific country, you'll realize that there's one movie from Brazil, but it's about Peru. There's a movie about Bolivia, but it's about something else. It's like they all somehow bleed over the borders. And the other thing I wanted to say is the crisis of water is getting so much harder. And I've been at this really a long time, 30 years. And I've seen films over 30 years. And I've done the shows over 30 years. People are heartbroken. The filmmakers are reaching deep in their souls to make expressions of the reality of the water problems so that you feel it. And I'm honored to be here at IHP LAC and share this moment with you because you really are a model for the future. So it's with a great heart and love for all of you that I share the films. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we'll start.
We roll it. We'll just roll it. Relax. I'm sorry I don't have popcorn. And then we have a film about the Guarani Aquifer. So we'll stop just a few minutes before, and we have an introduction from your colleague from Argentina. Yeah, we'll just have, before the, you'll know, I'll tell you. We'll just have a break so everyone can breathe, and then we'll get to that beer eventually, and I'm having 12. Thank you all.
Nesse palco que é construído, a água é o protagonista. E se não tivermos ela, a história chega ao fim. Eu quero agradecer a cada um de vocês que hoje estão ouvindo as vozes dos riachos da Mantiqueira, que até então eram sufocados e agora são audíveis ao mundo.
ouvi que gigantes nascem pequenos. E, sob o manto de névoas entre as montanhas, descobrimos a mesma verdade. Esta é a história dos riachos que nascem e serpenteiam pela Serra da Mantiqueira. Um gigante com 500 quilômetros de extensão e o 8º ecossistema mais importante do mundo.
São muitos cursos d'água, muitas nascentes. Raramente a gente visita ou encontra um imóvel rural que não tenha uma nascente, um rio, um banhado.
Nós fomos nascidos e criados aqui, bem dizer.
Que, né, desde criança, né, é aqui, né?
Mas vamos ter que melhorar mais. Agora, no momento, vamos ter que plantar mais coisa, né? Mas com esse secão, tá difícil, hein? Você pouca água.
Meu Deus do céu.
Como tudo que acaba de nascer mostra sua fragilidade, os riscos às suas águas começam desde as nascentes.
Daí a importância de se trabalhar a questão do saneamento rural, né? Porque a gente sabe que na maioria das situações o produtor rural ele despeja o seu efluente de produção rural e mesmo o seu esgoto doméstico sobre os cursos d'água sem nenhum tipo de tratamento.
Os mais relevantes são E. coli, Enterobacter, Klebsiella. E esses micro-organismos, eles trazem uma série de prejuízos para a saúde pública. São doenças graves, gastrointestinais, diarreias, entre outras.
Aí a gente viu que o esgoto, os dejetos do banheiro, era jogado todos no riozinho, né? Aqui no nosso riozinho, no riachinho que a gente tem aqui no fundo. Então, a nossa primeira preocupação foi impedir que esses dejetos, né, viessem para o riachinho. E a gente pensou na fossa de bananeira, que é, né, ecológica, protege mais os nossos rios.
Eles são de baixo custo, normalmente com materiais improvisados, podem ser utilizados inclusive entulho, pneus, e os agricultores, as pessoas mais carentes ou com poder aquisitivo menor conseguem instalar eles próprios.
Já é pouca água. Já pensou se todo mundo pensar de fazer isso, jogar no rio, aí complica tudo, né?
Por favor, priorize essa conscientização.
Talvez não consigamos definir como um grande rio termina, mas podemos mudar como ele nasce e se desenvolve na Serra da Mantiqueira.
Sou Davi Valcárcel, diretor do documentário Shalom Sombreiro. Este projeto destaca a missão de Eduardo Gold na preservação dos glaciares dos Andes. A ideia de pintar de branco as montanhas nos faz refletir sobre a nossa responsabilidade e a necessidade de políticas eficazes. É um chamado à ação, ressaltando a importância de preservar os glaciares para o equilíbrio ecológico da América Latina, inspirando mudanças para uma convivência harmoniosa com o planeta e a natureza.
En la majestuosa cordillera de los Andes, en Ayacucho, Perú, un drama silencioso se desarrolla. Los glaciares, fuentes vitales de agua, se están derritiendo a un ritmo alarmante, amenazando el equilibrio del planeta y la supervivencia de las comunidades locales. Eduardo Gol Araoz, un inventor peruano comprometido con la preservación ambiental, propone una solución innovadora: pintar de blanco las montañas. Esta técnica, basada en la ley de la termodinámica, donde el color blanco refleja la luz solar, reduciendo la absorción de calor y, en consecuencia, la temperatura de la superficie de la montaña. Este es un recordatorio de que la preservación de los glaciares es esencial para el equilibrio ecológico de América Latina.
El agua que estamos viendo que baja en este momento es agua que debió quedarse arriba, como un reservorio para las épocas en que no llueve. Esta es una época que llueve. Y es como decir que llueve sobre mojado, porque tanta agua también trae perjuicios, porque no se puede sembrar cuando hay demasiada agua, construir carreteras, no se puede, en fin, un montón de cosas, trae problemas de huaicos, de aludes, ¿no? Como ha desaparecido prácticamente todos los glaciares que estaban acá alrededor. Hace 20, 25 años estaba lleno de glaciares. Hoy día lo que está sucediendo es una retroalimentación caliente. El aire caliente está derritiendo el hielo, que a la vez deja las superficies en forma de rocas negras, que a su vez calientan más el aire y de esta manera se retroalimenta. Obviamente el hielo desaparece. Estamos justo en el lugar donde conversamos por primera vez sobre la posibilidad de pintar toda esta montaña de blanco. ¿Por qué? Porque cuando las cumbres están blancas, entonces la temperatura baja y el viento frío es más pesado y entonces tiende a ir hacia el valle, deteniendo el aire caliente que está subiendo del valle. De esta manera el hielo puede avanzar hacia abajo y va a cubrir un área mucho mayor de la montaña. ¿Qué cosa sucede? Que a la falta de tomar conciencia de este fenómeno, pues la gente sigue indiferente ante este fenómeno que nos va a convertir todo esto en un desierto.
Nuestro cuerpo humano asimismo tiene las venas y por ella corre la sangre, así como dentro de la tierra corren las fuentes de agua.
Porque la madre tierra es como un ser humano, es como que la madre naturaleza nos da el agua. Idéntico, acaban con las capas vegetales como que están acabando con nuestro cuerpo.
El hecho de protegerla, el hecho de cuidarla, es el mismo hecho de autocuidarnos, de protegernos.
Nosotros con los árboles hablamos y los árboles nos entienden. Queremos producción, los árboles nos dan esa producción. Los árboles nos dan nuestro alimento porque ellos saben que nosotros dependemos de ellos y de la madre de la naturaleza depende de nosotros. Nosotros tenemos que, como ellos nos dan los alimentos, también tenemos que cuidar a la madre de la naturaleza.
Por ello es que nosotros hacemos una defensa justa, porque consideramos que la tierra es nuestra madre. Y si no defendemos el agua, no defendemos nuestra tierra, ¿de qué nos podemos alimentar?
Nosotros queremos nuestra tierra, nuestro producto, que no sea contaminado.
Estamos en el punto de captación del sistema de agua potable que es para la comunidad de Jerusalén con Buenos Aires. Entonces de aquí al área del domo, al corazón del domo, donde quieren hacer el tajo abierto, estaríamos aproximados entre 500 y 600 metros de línea recta. Este sitio, este lugar que estamos aquí, está dentro del área de intervención para la explotación minera. Nosotros como organización, como Junta Administradora de Agua Potable, como habitantes, nos sentimos totalmente preocupados, porque si el momento de hacer una explotación minera, esta vertiente está en riesgo de que no solamente se puede secar, sino también lo que quede es un peligro inminente a la contaminación. Ustedes también tomarán en cuenta que estamos llevando un proceso de lucha, resistencia a nivel jurídico y que aspiramos y esperamos que seamos triunfadores porque la realidad...
Nunca hemos vivido la minería y no necesitamos vivir de la minería, porque nosotros aquí producimos cacao. Ellos vendrán, sacarán los minerales y se van porque no son ni de aquí del Ecuador.
No le voy a dejar un futuro peor a mis generaciones, sino tratar de que las generaciones sepan de que hay una generación tras de ellos, delante de ellos, que trató de hacer las cosas bien y que buscaba lo mejor. que no quede contaminación, de que no quede destrucción, pues, ¿no? Eso ha sido lo que a mí me ha motivado, pues, ¿no?
Ah, sí, este es de mi bote.
No todo se saca de la tierra, no todo tiene que salir de ella. También tiene que regresar en forma de agradecimiento. Y nosotros, las comunidades, las personas que habitamos, nos consideramos parte de ella, no dueños de ella. Todos sacamos de ella. Todo se sostiene en ella. Me imagino el futuro gobernado por las personas que habitan estos territorios. Me imagino la biodiversidad intacta. Me imagino ser las voces en otros lugares de que acá hay vida, de que acá hay riqueza, de que acá vive gente muy buena, en total armonía y en equilibrio con la naturaleza misma.
El gobierno y los medios vienen publicitándolo como Portezuelo del Viento, la obra del siglo. Pero por otro lado yo digo que es la no realizada obra del siglo XX. Porque es un proyecto propio del siglo XX, con los cánones ingenieriles de concepción, de manejo tecnocrático de cuencas, muy propios del siglo XX.
Cuando empezó todo lo del dique, viene el ministro, llega ahí a las LOI que la escuela hizo una reunión de puesteros. La gente del campo, que es realmente criada en el campo, le dicen vamos a una reunión, van a la reunión y escuchan nada más. Y bueno, y cuando viene este señor y dice, no se sorprendan si mañana llega una máquina a las loicas y arrasa con todo, dice, porque esto va a quedar todo abajo el agua y hay que destruirlo. Le digo que qué posibilidades había, dónde nos iban a ubicar. Se largó a reír el tipo y me dice, no, dice, no se haga problema, en algún lado la vamos a ubicar.
Tiene que respetarse un mínimo de 3.000 hectómetros cúbicos del caudal del río por año. Hace falta reservarlo para el uso de los múltiples oasis de riego que hay aguas abajo y para consumo humano de las múltiples localidades a lo largo del río y para el 80% de la población urbana de la provincia de La Pampa. Hay publicaciones recientes de estos últimos años hechas sobre la base de la dendrocronología del estudio de anillos de los árboles de 600 años de antigüedad y con otras metodologías, inclusive yendo aún más atrás. En el último milenio no hay ningún antecedente de una sequía tan larga y profunda como la que en Chile arrancó en 2008 y en Mendoza, en este sector de la cordillera, en el invierno de 2010. Si el dique hubiera estado terminado de construir en junio de 2010, hoy, al día de hoy, el dique estaría completamente seco y no habría permitido prender ni un foquito.
Bienvenidos. Hoy les daremos un tour por el planeta Tierra. Este es el planeta Tierra. En la Tierra vivía el humano. Los humanos llamaban al azul el color del cielo y el agua. ¿Por qué le pusieron tierra? Si es azul y está llena de agua. El humano estaba constituido por 70% de agua. Y en el planeta del agua, los humanos encontraron las formas perfectas para acabar con el agua. El agua. Solo es posible la vida en este planeta por la existencia del agua. Los humanos y el resto de especies de flora y fauna dependían de ella. Así se ven algunos de los humanos que cuidaron el agua. Aquí, en el año 2024, presentamos al humano de ciudad y sus prácticas diarias. Al humano se le dijo que en 2025, unos 1.800 millones de personas vivirían en países que se enfrentan a la escasez del agua. El humano no hizo nada. Aquí, el humano comparte en sus redes de comunicación global imágenes para regañar a otros humanos que no cuidan el agua. Por acá, el humano no hace nada para decirle a los humanos fuera del mundo digital que salven el agua. El humano creía que si se bañaba en 5 minutos iba a salvar el planeta Tierra. El humano, en lugar de salir de sus casas a iniciar una lucha colectiva para salvar su planeta Tierra lleno de agua, decidió iniciar exploraciones espaciales para encontrar agua en planetas donde no estaba seguro si había agua. El humano puso a todas las especies de su planeta en peligro de extinción y es reconocida por ser la única especie en llevarse a sí misma a la extinción. Hoy, La tierra, sin él, se está regenerando.
Desde el tiempo de nuestros ancestros, nosotros hemos visto la muerte, o nosotros los mezquitos vemos la muerte como una transición. O sea, yo me muero y yo me convierto en lluvia. Yo me convierto en planta. Yo me convierto en el bosque. Yo soy río. Mi cosmovisión indígena, antes que bióloga o antes que cualquier otra cosa, soy indígena. Entonces respeto mucho mi cultura. Entonces yo digo, bueno, yo me muero y me voy a convertir en lluvia. Decidí estudiar biología porque dije yo, los animales no tienen voz. Las plantas, el bosque, la laguna, los ríos no tienen voz. Entonces, como mezquita, quiero ser la voz de ellos. Todas las áreas protegidas están ubicadas donde hay indígenas. ¿Por qué? Por esta cosmovisión que tenemos nosotros, por este respeto que le tenemos al medio ambiente, por este respeto que tenemos a la naturaleza, es que hasta hoy se ha conservado.
Parece difícil delinear un río con tantas lagunas, bañados, islas y caucecitos que se bifurcan o unen con otros de dispar tamaño, acompañando todos al gran cauce principal que les roba el nombre para él solo. Una miríada de hijos centenados de un padre que les acapara el nombre pero no sus aguas, más o menos marrones siguiendo la llegada de los sedimentos andinos o las lluvias del Brasil. En suma, este pariente del mar o Paraná, como los guaraníes bautizaron al cauce principal, es nombre y apellido de este conjunto todo.
Desde la biología, este río es una manera de despegarnos de la centralidad de la vista como principal sentido de observación. Una forma amarronada de vislumbrar la vida acuática y las relaciones entre las especies con otras estrategias. Por eso el color del agua se me impone como límite, límite que maravilla, que abre preguntas, que lleva a pensar opciones. También es sinónimo de conexión, de transporte de nutrientes, de momentos de aislamiento, de épocas de intercambio y relaciones entre ambientes y organismos.
Dos palabras, mezcla y tiempo. Mezcla infinita de pigmentos basados en una investigación sensible de mi formación como pintora. Pero también mezcla de historias, testimonios, memorias y vivencias que el río trae a mi orilla y dan cuerpo a uno nuevo reinterpretado. Testimonios de pueblos que habitan río arriba se entraman con mi historia personal para avanzar con la corriente al siguiente puerto. El río es misterio, encuentro, observación y búsqueda, una mezcla de tonos y temporalidades.
El Paraná es historia, la de quienes lo remontaron para fundar ciudades, la de un río que nos permitió comunicarnos con el mundo, pero que todavía hoy no hemos podido desarrollar en plenitud. Historia de unas aguas mansas que siempre nos recuerdan sus dominios cuando suben y tapan, indomables, casas, caminos y campos. Y el Paraná es también la historia de un paisaje que permitió crecer formas culturales únicas. Así es, al menos un poco, la historia de nuestro país.
El río Paraná es un espejo de agua oscura que ilumina el paisaje costero. Paradojas de los colores, que en los marrones encuentran más luz que en los claros e incoloros ríos de otros lugares. Acá nos afecta la velocidad de la bajante y de las subidas, transformando en días la postal de una ciudad que vive el río como un linde natural que une márgenes, y no como un límite fronterizo que separa territorios.
Esto también es el río Paraná, el paisaje de las islas, la ranchada, la canoa, pero también el cemento de una ciudad indiferente a su entorno y a su ritmo vital. Distintas realidades atravesadas y unidas por un mismo río que recorre la cultura de un pueblo, siguiendo el curso impuesto por sus prácticas y costumbres. Entender el río como un rasgo identitario para fortalecer nuestro lazo social y construir y sostener nuevas culturas del agua centradas en su cuidado y preservación.
I have to say you are an incredible audience. And I was going to say, which do you like better, that I could tell from the clapping which affected you. You could leave the lights down, it's okay. Because, oh, well, maybe you'll want the lights on. But I just wanted to say a few things. I wanted to thank Josh Himmelstein, who is my associate that I work with. He's a PhD student in coastal waters, and he helps me along with all the other team members. The other thing is, watching these films, I've seen them many, many times. They're very complex. Image, sound, voice, words. Unfortunately, this had no Spanish or Portuguese. It was just English subtitles. But they will be available on my website, the mayorsmakemovies.org website. We have an Instagram. I'm not a digital person, so they forced me to deal with Instagram. But if you go water.film.prize, you will be able to find the YouTube channel that the films are on, and you are able to use them in your webinars or in your classrooms or to share with your colleagues. And each one, if you pay a little more attention, like the Paraná River one, it's a very dense, poetic film. And I just cry every time I see it, because the idea of making so many metaphors about a river is just astounding. And you all studying all these things, so it's really a joy to share them with you. And now we have someone who's going to introduce the next film, which is a bit longer, 12 minutes. And so this is about the Guarani Aquifer. And please introduce yourself and
Okay, thank you, Linda.
I love talking. You think I'll let him talk? No, go ahead.
No, please. Well, thank you. First of all, let me to thank you because of lovely and beautiful films. They touch my heart. I enjoy a lot. Thank you. Bueno, luego de agradecer a Linda por este hermoso momento que nos ha ofrecido y sobre el final del día nos permite conectarnos con otros aspectos, Miguel me pidió que hiciese una breve introducción de un film que vamos a ver a continuación. Tuve la oportunidad de poder verlo recientemente en Punta del Este. Me parece que está excelentemente logrado y resume lo que ayer me tocó también comentar respecto del acuífero guaraní. Es un compendio de visiones de compañeros de trabajo, de amigos, de colegas, que inicialmente, los conocí como colegas en un proyecto técnico, pero años después terminamos como amigos, unidos por algo que es más que un cuerpo hidrogeológico de agua. Yo creo que la mirada más amplia de un acuífero nos lleva a entender por qué es más que un acuífero, más que un sistema, y por qué se acerca a un mito, y eso cobra vida en las personas que trabajamos en ese proyecto. Este film nos resume muy bien, así que felicitaciones al proyecto y a todos los que lo permitieron lograr.
Thank you. You really, by the way, this will be the last film, so when this is over, we can all leave. And I also just want to thank the judges who spent a lot of time looking at the 200 entries that there were to this program. And one of them was Soledad. And I was really honored to have her. So let's give a hand for the judges. Yay! And enjoy this film. It's a joy to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you. Isn't this fun for me?
If we could hear the voice of the aquifer, what would it say? It's possible that it found people to speak for it long before we existed as nations. Its voice resonates to this day through the ancestors of the Guarani people. The aquifer was born without borders, and it continues in its vocation of sharing and connecting countries through its waters. The only frontier of the Guarani is our way of living. Invisible to our eyes, it generously supplies cities, agriculture, industries, and communities. If we could hear its voice, What would be its uncertainties, its fragilities? To what extent would they be linked to our own fragility?
Cortes de energía, problemas importantes en un país que está
es desolador, ¿no?
hace casi 80 años, convirtiendo calles y avenidas en esta oportunidad se ha visto absolutamente accidentes.
Las altas temperaturas afectan la actividad agropecuaria.
If water remains, how does it remain? The aquifer system needs voices for sustainability. It needs strong arms to embrace its course of life. It needs governments, institutions, scientists, traditional peoples, indigenous peoples, peoples who cooperate for its waters. Perhaps it has cried out for development, diversity, and preservation. Is there a strategy to protect a submerged giant? Who would get involved? It is necessary to continue updating transboundary plans and voices as we act and learn from the aquifer. To hear its voice is to find it, to permanently build a bridge that connects present and future. In its deep silence, it stores the heritage of nations, the enchantments of the Guarani people, stories of the past and the strength of future waters. Who will preserve it? And today, who can listen to it? We brought experts from the 4 countries that comprise the Guarani aquifer to bring the voice of the giant among nations.
Nossos antepassados sempre repassaram e continuam, os nossos mais velhos ainda hoje repassando esses conhecimentos da importância da água, porque ele é um elemento que faz parte de toda a nossa vida, do nosso corpo, Todos temos água, e todos nascemos da água. Falam, que nós precisamos fazer a proteção. Então, esse cuidado com a água, mas com a gente mesmo, Então, nós temos sempre esse respeito de sermos os guardiões da água, De cuidarmos para que nós possamos viver bem.
Un acuífero se define como una formación geológica capaz de almacenar y transmitir el agua, es decir, que el agua circule por dentro de esa formación, entonces el agua recarga en un punto, circula y descarga en otro punto. Hablamos de sistema acuífero cuando hay más de una formación geológica que está involucrada con vinculación, digamos, hidráulica entre ellas. Para empezar, es un sistema de gran extensión geográfica, más de 1 millón de kilómetros cuadrados, abarca superficie en 4 países.
El nombre de Guaraní se deriva de un momento al final del siglo pasado, digamos, porque en 1992, 93 había toda una inquietud que había sido financiada independientemente en algunos de los países por parte de la cooperación canadiense y para estudiar los acuíferos que habían en la zona. Es decir, fue un programa que tenían y contactaron gente en las universidades y se empezaron investigaciones independientes en distintos países. Identificamos el proyecto, vinimos, yo en ese momento estaba con sede en Estados Unidos y vinimos a la región y comprobamos que realmente hay un acuífero compartido y ahí tomamos contacto con la parte de de las investigaciones universitarias y el conocimiento sobre el acuífero guaraní. Y pusimos dentro del proyecto del Cuarén, que era binacional, pusimos la posibilidad de trabajar las aguas subterráneas de esa zona que tiene problemas de abastecimiento de agua.
La relevancia del acuífero surge en un contexto de cambios demográficos, cambio climático, cambio del uso del suelo, urbanización, deforestación, entre otros. Y esto requiere, obviamente, mirar el acuífero guaraní como un recurso de agua potable y agua que puede ser usada para varios fines, pero requiere también que exista una forma de gestión que sea sostenible
Tuve la suerte de poder participar del primer proyecto que sentó las bases para este segundo proyecto, que creo que afianzó todo lo que es el trabajo interinstitucional, las experiencias compartidas con los países, contribuir a la gestión y al monitoreo de algo que es muy difícil porque no se ve, como el agua superficial. Esto es algo que tenemos que pensar cómo es su dinámica, y creo que todo este proyecto contribuyó enormemente en ese trabajo.
¿Por qué es importante? A nivel regional es sumamente importante porque es un recurso que lo utilizamos para el desarrollo permanente de nuestras actividades diarias, y es importante hacer un monitoreo periódico y permanente porque tenemos que consolidar la seguridad hídrica. En tiempos actuales vemos que el cambio climático, la variabilidad climática, está golpeando bastante a nivel global y muy en particular a la cuenca del Plata. Entonces tenemos que precautelar, tenemos que saber que este recurso es vulnerable porque no lo vemos y lo manejamos, y tenemos que manejarlo y gestionarlo de una manera muy adecuada a fin de que este recurso pueda ser mucho más sostenible durante el tiempo.
Las perforaciones son el acceso directo que tenemos al conocimiento de las aguas subterráneas, en particular este caso del guaraní. En su momento, en un taller, es como un termómetro para entender el estado de salud que tiene el guaraní en particular. Que uno de los principales desafíos es fortalecer el conocimiento. No podemos gestionar algo que no conocemos, porque es algo invisible, porque es algo que está a mucha profundidad y que requiere mucho costo, no solo económico, sino también de logístico. Encontrar datos comunes que nos sirven a todos, encontrar objetivos comunes. La cooperación es encontrar ese objetivo común partiendo de las individualidades de cada país. Y este proyecto creo que tiene todas las posibilidades de trabajar en esos temas, porque no solo estamos trabajando en lo físico es una forma de entender qué estamos manejando, pero después hay una serie de cuestiones sociales, políticas, económicas que afectan a eso, a esse recurso.
O aquífero Guarani tem uma grande importância, que eu diria que é um aquífero modelo. São muito mais aquíferos que nós temos transfronteiriço. O aquífero Guarani é o primeiro que está tratando uma cooperação entre 4 países e vai ensejar outras cooperações, cooperação científica, cooperações na área de meio ambiente, troca de informações, tudo isso que o projeto vai prover e já está provendo. E a cooperação internacional ajuda os países em tudo, evita conflitos futuros, é o tal do efeito spillover, que os países que cooperam têm menos problemas entre si.
Sobre los desafíos que tenemos para la gestión regional del guaraní. Este involucramiento que generó este proyecto no puede parar, entonces la idea es pensar en la continuidad de los procesos con los países para que se fortalezca la gestión de los comités técnicos y también las capacidades institucionales para la gestión de aguas subterráneas en cada país y de forma regional. Entonces, a futuro nosotros entendemos que tenemos que calificar los procesos de planificación para gestión del agua subterránea vinculada con el agua superficial, considerando los cambios climáticos, considerando conocer más los servicios ecosistémicos que el acuífero guaraní dispone a la sociedad, y también desarrollando más involucramiento de la sociedad sobre este tema que es tan importante. Entonces, es generar una planificación para enfrentar riesgos a futuro y también una planificación de mejores prácticas para la gestión regional del guaraní.
Lo que hay que buscar es que ese uso sea racional, sea sostenible, no abusar de este uso, ¿verdad?
Transformação de hábitos, a gente pode adaptar eles a serem reintegrados na natureza de uma maneira menos agressiva e mais consciente.
Ele responde
pela vida do ser humano, dos animais, das plantas.
O meu sonho é que as pessoas entendam o valor da água na nossa vida, né? E se a gente fala de água, a gente está falando de um ecossistema, né? Não é só a água. A água é a materialização, mas que as pessoas amem esse planeta, preservem a água, preservem as riquezas que a natureza nos deu, né? Esse é o nosso palco da vida. Sem esse palco, né? Sem esse meio ambiente saudável, né? A gente não consegue também estar saudável em cima dele, né? E a gente só conhece esse endereço para viver, né? Que é o planeta Terra. Ainda não temos outro, então temos que preservar o planeta Terra.
Water is what connects us, from the surface to the underground. Water is the heart of our land, and the Guarani beats. We need it to keep beating for the future. Caring for the Guarani is caring for life, generating life.
Thank you very much for your kind attention. I yield to the floor, Miguel Doria.
I'll be very brief because this is an after-hours activity, but I would like to thank very, very much to Linda and everybody that was involved in this. Actually, it's
I sing. I also sing, you know, but we'll say that.
Next time, tomorrow
Juan
maybe.
La Gusta, La Gusta, La Gusta, La Gusta, La Gusta, La Gusta. I was going to do Carmen Miranda imitation, and then I thought I'll get yelled at for cultural appropriation, right? The current moment is very delicate. Anyway, just a joke. Sorry,
Actually, no, you're welcome. No, it tells a lot about the power of images and movies in actually disseminating different perspectives about water. We don't agree with everything, but I think that's part of the process of a dialogue. And I think these short clips do exactly that. I was very impressed. It's the first time I saw all of them except the last one. And I was very impressed actually by the quality. They go much, much further from actually the first water movie festival I watched, and which started, it was not related with Linda, and it started with a real-time movie about an Amazon trip from Peru to Belém in Brazil. It lasted, I think it was almost a week of the movie. I actually fell asleep, but it's really amazing what is happening here. Just to recall that we have several countries with their initiatives. I remember, for instance, INDRI in Dominican Republic has excellent movies as well. And I think this is an opportunity that I think there's actually a typo there. It should say instead of 2024 Latin American Prize, maybe it should be the first. So we hope there will be future editions. We very much hope that in the future editions the Caribbean will be very well represented, and we have to make sure of that. But I will not take longer. Actually, if there is any comment, if anyone would like to make any comment, you'll be welcome. Anyone? Comment?
So should I say buenas noches now? Buenas noches. Linda, I just want to say I met you and I fell in love with you because she has a warm, beautiful personality. And in her movie presentation, I felt very emotional. I felt sad. I felt depressed because the future of my children, well, I don't have grandchildren, but some of you all have grandchildren and great-grandchildren. The future of our next generation, generations to come, is very bleak, you know, because we as water practitioners I don't think we are actually sending out that message effectively. You know, I mean, we are doing our best to manage our water resources in our country, but really it takes a great effort. It takes compassion. It takes emotional intelligence. It takes a humanity effort to actually preach and teach people about water conservation. And what you are doing is you are actually being the voice for us in these movies. You represent us because some of us may not be able to communicate as effectively as we can, but by looking at your movies, you know, we can spread the message to our younger generation, because we all know they have a short attention span and they will not come to a forum and listen for an entire day about water management and water security. But those little films, which are just a few minutes, can make a major difference, especially to the younger generation. So I want to thank you for your hard work, your dedication, and your commitment. You know, you said you are not a water scientist, but you speak so intelligently. You have that love and compassion. And I just want to say, you know, you did an excellent job. And I'm looking forward to working with Linda, especially I speak on behalf of the Caribbean islands, that we are ready and willing to work with you because we love what you do. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And the thing is, the films are like stepping stones. You know, they're jumping off points. So you can use them, you can make curriculum about them, you can tease out certain themes. They're alive, you can use them. It's alive, it's alive. No, don't give me a microphone, because you'll never get out of here.
No problem.
Oh, sorry, but my English is terrible. Bueno, para mí fue súper emotivo, digo, y creo que Miguel lo sabe, y Sole, digo, hay una amiga en particular con el tema de acuífero que me hizo erizar, pero creo, digo, cuando acá hay un perfil bastante hidrológico, yo vengo de las ciencias sociales, poder captar lo humano de la transgresión, lo humano del compromiso, lo humano de la equivocación para construir, es súper importante. No tenemos que entristecernos, tenemos que emocionarnos. Tenemos que generar amor y no siempre como la agonística frente al otro. Y realmente, yo al principio pensé, es tarde para mirar. Pero creo que todos quedamos súper movilizados por los mensajes, porque todos en las diferencias nos transmitieron algo. El del lago me dejó sin palabras. Pero realmente quiero agradecer profundamente eso que quizás una reunión del PHI no logra en mí, que es sentir esa emoción. Y yo creo que coincido con Sharon. Realmente lograste enamorarnos, digo, con tu personalidad, y porque también uno siente eso que te transmite, ¿no? Y que nos transmitís a nosotros, que si uno no cree en la utopía, si uno no se enamora de esto del agua, es bastante difícil que podamos lograr transitar y cambiar. Así que muchas gracias.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for these beautiful comments. They're very touching for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it was amazing to see these movies. And I think what I wanted to say, it is just a short fragment of the water and people and how they are connected and we see again that the indigenous people, how they are connected to the water from the different point of view they look to the water. We was talking about the water these 2 days, and there are lots of events going, conference and forums, and talking about the water. And 99% of talking, it's about the physical aspect of water as a food and how we should use it and how should we distribute it. But the spirit of water, which is preserved in those communities, in the remote communities, in the indigenous knowledge and the wisdom of those indigenous people, how they deeply connected to the roots and to the water from the other side. We have to use that wisdom, and we have to protect it. And this is the message for all of us, your people from the water authority in your countries, and please, you have to use this indigenous wisdom at least to protect them. And we was talking about the transboundary aquifer, that people living in different countries using the same water resource. And we know that we have a lot of information, technology, and researchers that we know that the water is going to be less and less, and they may face the issues, but to protect the wisdom and this connection to the nature and the traditional practices can help us a lot to avoid and to solve those problems. And many thanks for your the movies that you I think that you put your soul in those movies, and many thanks to you.
We'll now conclude because it's very late, but thank you very much for staying with us. And I think it's also an important development. It's actually many years we've been trying to do a HP movie across the region. We hope one day, and this is also a step on that direction. So we note the invitation of the Caribbean to make speed up the importance of actually the emotional side on all this process of learning about water. We were very happy to see actually one movie by UNESCO chair being selected, also the movie of the Guarani project. We also invite you to stay in touch with the working groups, in particular the working group on education and culture, but all of them, maybe also glaciers this year, and to bring more into this perspective. I think with a round of applause to the movie makers, the ones that were selected, the ones that were not selected, but also for this initiative, we will conclude today's session, reminding that tomorrow, 9 a.m., we have the sun together with Claudia and Isid.
Yeah.
Please.
I just want to say some things. The celebration of the 50th of IHP and the 60th of the science within this IHP, I think it's a very, very important moment to think about using film as a way of maybe building a library of what IHP has done, even personal. You see how varied they are, the quality, the tone, the feeling. You have all the people around you in your networks and your people that you're serving that can make these films. And I also want to add that when I heard the next word, I couldn't go to Bali. The trip just freaked me out, actually, and I've been to about 20 of these water forums. I've gone to Stockholm Water Week, all this stuff. But the thing is, in Saudi Arabia, my thinking is that the Saudis are going to be very eager to make an impression and to build a very powerful water forum. And it's in 2027. And what I'm working on is to build a theater, an actual little theater within the conference center, so that you actually enter a space like this kind of room and watch the films away from the noise of the exhibition floor, right? And so if we make a set of films in honor of the IHP 50th celebration, I can put the program together in Saudi Arabia as part of the World Water Forum. So it's long-term thinking. I had the idea for Bali, but I waited too late, and I just was up against too many problems. But I'm now working on the one for Saudi Arabia, and I'm working with the Water Museum Global Network. And the thing about the Water Museum Global Network, museums have theaters. So in the spaces within museums, they can show films sequestered from the rest of the museum. So if you guys initiate film projects with your constituents, there's places that we can show them. So we might mount another competition I actually want to work with Sharon because of what happened with our competition and actually make a special film with her as a special project. But I encourage you all to think, because the young people love the short film. They're very, very facile with the technology, and you can engage the younger generation in a way that's very vital and produces product that then serves the younger generation. So thank you again. I'm going to shut up now.